What's that one story you've always wanted to tell on r/askreddit, but no one has ever asked the right question? A friend from grad school had previously been a skydiving instructor in Colorado and had jumped more than 600 times. One of these times, he, for some reason, had his wallet in his suit and it fell out. Fell to earth somewhere. He figured but oh well. Absolutely no chance of finding it. Separately, a man in rural Colorado was found murdered. Turns out in their remote cabin where he lived with his daughter, he had been sexually abusing her, and she finally had enough and killed him. The police searched the house and all of his property, and found my friend's wallet in the trunk of his car. Police thought to themselves, idiot murderer left his wallet in this dude's trunk, damn easiest arrest ever. Friend had the super believable alibi of couldn't have been me officer. Actually that wallet fell out of my pants while I was skydiving. I was once robbed at gunpoint in a public bus. Dude was talking to me like he was my friend while pointing the gun at me. He only asked me for the cash I had in my wallet, and after I gave it to him, he kept talking to me like we were random commuters having a conversation. Dude got more confident and asked for my phone. I said no, not the phone man. I need it. And he was like fine, it's okay. Don't worry, we chill. 10/10ths would be assaulted by him again. To whom it may concern, would you please hand over all of your money in your wallet? Thank you for your time and consideration. Okay, so I was never a sporty kid in school. I come from the country parts of Ireland, where everyone has thick accents, drinks Guinness, and most importantly, everyone loves football. Of course, I was an antisocial who never went outside, so I never learned how to play nor wanted to. So one day in primary school, the teachers made us all play football. Since I didn't know how to play, I decided to just stand awkwardly near the goal and admire the scenery for the whole game. At one point I became so absorbed in doing absolutely nothing that I'd pretty much blocked out the sound of everyone else's voices, so I had no idea how the game was going. Towards the end of the game, I was getting rather tired and was basically half asleep when suddenly this incredible pain hits my back. I fall over and I literally have no idea what just happened when suddenly some of the kids on my team went over to me and started cheering and saying, "Yeah, egg. Good job." I just kinda stood there for a moment before realizing what had just happened. Apparently I had just accidentally blocked the opposition's winning goal by just standing there and doing absolutely nothing. TL. Doctor, if you want to accomplish your dreams and be praised, all you have to do is absolutely nothing. My husband, then boyfriend, and I were driving to his place. He had one of those cars where the front seat had one combined long seat up front. I had moved over to sit right next to him, and he had his arm wrapped around me. At one point, I glanced over to my right and there was a van full of clowns. They were miming making out at us. Like 3 clowns in their front seat. They pulled away laughing. I like to walk quickly, but one day I encountered somebody ahead of me whose walking pace matched mine, possibly even beat it. So I went faster. I strained my ankles, my arms began to swing wildly, but I did it. I eventually overtook her. To assert my walking speed dominance in the most futile way possible, I didn't duck or avoid any of the low-hanging branches that were ahead of me. I plowed straight through them face first, without flinching. I kept my uncomfortably fast swinging arm walk run up until I was sure I was out of sight again. Nobody beats my walking pace. Nobody. Once, when I was 8 years old, I was running through the forest. Suddenly I got pulled back by something. I didn't know what, but it didn't hurt. I called for my dad. When he came he gasped and said that I shouldn't move. He then proceeded to remove a fishing hook that was in my skin right next to my eye. 1 more millimeter to the left and I would have been blind with one eye for the rest of my life. Edit. Spelling sounds like you guys almost stumbled upon a pot farm. A lot of guerrilla growers set up fishing hook traps. That's super f***ed up. Why fishing hooks? You'd think illegal grow-ups would be enough trouble without the added booby trapping charges. The booby trapping charges would be the least of their worries if caught. I was a huge slacker in high school. I wouldn't read reading assignments. I'd cheat on assignments and tests. I outright didn't do assignments if I didn't feel that the grade was worth the time, etc. Most of my teachers were aware of my laziness and a few of them, rightfully, suspected the cheating aspect as well. My buddy was the same way. In my Spanish 1 class, we had Spanish nicknames just for fun. Mine was Thomas and my buddy's was Jose. This was the last period of each day and our teacher would let us out before the bell would ring if we were to finish class early. For each chapter in our textbook, we'd be given an assignment to make flashcards on which one side would be one of the chapter's vocabulary terms and the other side would be the English translation. Easy assignment, right? Well, it was worth such few points that I couldn't be bothered to ever do it anyway. To grade them, she'd walk up and down the aisles between the desks, check for the stack of vocabulary cards, and move on to the next student. Nothing too thorough. It's the end of the period and we are ready to leave early as usual, which she said that we could do after she checks our cards. She goes to check Jose's cards and he actually has them done. I'm stunned just as much as she is. As she continues up the aisle, and with her back turned, Jose passes me his cards. As she approaches me, she asks, "Thomas, do you have your vocabulary cards?" Without even looking at me, expecting me to say, "No, yes, ma'am," I respond, flashing the cards at her. She looks baffled. She knows that something is up. "Jose, where are your cards?" "Oh, I put them away, Mrs. Riaz. Do you mind pulling them out and showing them to me again?" As Jose reaches underneath his desk for his binder, he of course doesn't say anything. But he doesn't have to. His facial expression says it all. I neither want to screw over my friend, nor want to get caught cheating. How severe would the punishment be? Our friend Jane is eager to have his cards checked, so that he can leave early. Completely unaware of what's going on, Jane walks up to Mrs. Riaz from behind, and asks if she'll check his cards. She turns around, and as she checks his cards, I give Jose his cards back. How do I get us out of this predicament? Mrs. Riaz turns back around, and sees Jose with his cards. She then looks to me and asks, "Thomas, now, where are your cards?" "I threw them away," I sheepishly answer. She gives me the all too familiar look of disappointment and asks, "Why would you do that?" I continue, "Let's be honest. You and I both know that I won't use them anyway." "Well, go get them and show them to me please." This is it. We are about to get caught cheating. Is there a way out of this? I walk to the trash can, brainstorming what to do when I get to it and don't have any cards to show her. Do I shamefully act like they're suddenly missing from the trash can? Do I cut the bit and try the honesty route? I don't know. I continue to the trash can and am flabbergasted at what I find: a stack of the chapter's vocabulary cards sitting neatly on top. No way. I bring them back to my desk and show them to her. She looks to Jose and he flashes his cards to her as well. With a surprised tone, she says, "I'm sorry that I ever doubted you too." She continues checking others' cards and my buddy whispers, "Whose cards are those? Dude, I have no clue." The next day, I tell James about what happened. He asks, "You know what's funny?" "What?" "Those were my cards. I threw them away on my way out of class. Those cards were there for only seconds, and he had no idea that I needed him to put them there. What are the odds?" 6th grade, I had hit a major growth spurt, so most of my clothes didn't fit, and my family couldn't afford new ones. Once winter came around, the only jacket I had that I could still fit in even a bit was much too thin to be of any use. My teacher noticed, and I walked into class one morning to see a big fluffy winter coat on the back of my chair and a chicken soup for the sole book on my desk. Her kindness still makes my eyes water, even almost 2 decades later. Ms. Robertson, if you're reading this, thank you. I never forgot. Edit. I really never thought I'd say this, but RIP inbox. I posted this late to the thread and thought it would get buried. Didn't think I'd get more than 20 updates, and especially not gold. To answer some common questions, this was in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and I've tried to get in touch with her since, but I don't remember her first name and she doesn't work at the school anymore. My first reaction was to hesitate. I thought maybe someone had come in early to do homework, or be tutored or something, and left their stuff, but she saw my hesitation and ushered me over to my seat. I've gotten more than a few comments about how it's an amazing thing that she did so, especially on a teacher's salary, and I agree. It wasn't an inexpensive coat, and I wore that thing until I literally couldn't anymore. When I was a 5-year-old child, I liked to spend a lot of time in my parents' room, and one particular morning, I had found a cool little elephant mask. Naturally, I decided to play with it and put it on my face to show my mom. The horrified look on her face is what makes me remember this. However, she did laugh a little after she immediately took the mask off my face. TLDR. 5 years old me found my dad's elephant thong in my parents' room and put it on my face. I never knew what it was until I was 13. I live in a small rural town. When I was 7, my parents let my older sister and I ride our bikes about 3.5 miles into town to get lunch at the only restaurant in town, which my mom's cousin owns. I didn't realize how long of a ride 3.5 miles was and was hot and tired and crabby and burned my tongue on my burger, so I threw a fit and refused to ride my bike home. A stranger overheard my sister and I arguing about this and offered me a ride home. He said he could just put my bike in the back of his truck and everything would be fine. My sister agreed because she didn't want to have to call my parents to come pick us up, and she was tired of my whining, and also she was 10 years old and dumb. I realized on the drive home that I hadn't given the man directions or told him my name, but he somehow knew my name and where I lived. He dropped me off at home, helped me put my bike in the garage, and then drove down the road to go visit my grandparents. It turns out, the man was my grandpa's brother, one of 12 siblings. He recognized me because I looked just like my mom did at that age. I had been working a job under the table and was let go. They gave me a month's pay in cash as severance. I was in shock, and not having internet at the time, this was in dinosaur times before iPhones, went to a local internet cafe downtown, run by the same company that runs EasyJet, actually, to update friends and family on what happened. As I'm typing, I noticed someone in my peripheral vision crouching down by my chair. I'd like to think the suddenness of having lost my job is why it takes a minute for it to click. I look down, and my backpack is missing. I turn and see the guy heading upstairs to the ground floor and the exit. Not really thinking things through, I tear after the guy. I get to the top of the stairs and see him walking outside and have a moment of panic that he is going to hand my bag off to an accomplice. But no, I managed to catch up to him and, again, not really considering how badly this could backfire, grab him and start yelling at him. Fortunately, he didn't have a weapon, which was extremely lucky for me. Instead, he silently gave me back my bag and then just walked away up the street. I was so hyped up on adrenaline that I just stood there shaking for a while before I went back inside to finish up. When I got back to the chair, I double checked that my personal stuff, like a digital camera, was still there because I had heard sometimes they'll snake what they can from it first in case they get caught. Fortunately, everything was there, including the envelope with my severance in it. I had totally forgotten about it up until that point. It was basically the only time I have ever carried that much cash on me, almost $2,000, and it happened to be the day I was almost robbed. Edit to fix my spelling. My boss graduated from the same school I'm currently a senior at, and one time he told me about how he was accidentally involved in a bomb threat. So him and his buddies would play football on the school field when school wasn't in session, and one time there were people doing a photo op on the field, and they left their camera case. My boss, thinking it would be a kind gesture, brought the case to the main entrance so the people could come back for it. Next time he was in school, he was waiting in the cafeteria for first bell to ring, but staff told them to stay in the cafeteria. Apparently they thought the camera case was a bomb, when it was clearly not. Someone once left a briefcase in the bathroom at my husband's government job. They evacuated the building and the bomb squad blew up the guy's briefcase.